So, people have been up in arms about the Oculus Rift costing $600. Two sides of people, some declaring virtual reality dead as the price is considered too high in addition to the PC you need to run it, and others defending it, usually those with enough disposable income as they compare it to the price of other devices at their launch. But let's talk about that price point first since it's fresh in our minds. Palmer Luckey, the guy in charge of Oculus, said that he was never really clear on the price point of the headset, and that he should have been more clear. First off, you know the guy's just doing damage control. When they were working on the headset, he originally said it would cost around $200, then around $300, and then he started saying around the ballpark of $350 and said that number until pre-orders went up. Now he's touting the quality of the headset, saying it's a really good headset, and that he's not even selling it for a profit but breaking even. I smell a lot of bullshit here. First, let's take a look at the price. $600 is a lot. But let's remove the $60 Xbox One controller and the two games that it comes with that are probably $60 each. Maybe. So that's a ballpark $180 max extra, bringing down the price of the headset to $420, which is a little more reasonable, but we really can't get an accurate estimate either, because they're bundling in things that you may not want or need. People have been defending the $600 price point, saying that it's new technology and new technology costs more, and they like to bring up that the PlayStation 3 was $600 when that came out. But here's the thing, PlayStation 3 was new technology. It was the first thing, and I think the only thing, to have the cell processor, and was the first device to use Blu-ray discs. The Oculus Rift? Come here. It's not new technology. It's a combination of old and affordable technology. It's just two very small screens with motion sensors attached to it. I hate to oversimplify it that much, but that's what it is. It sends all the motion information to your computer, which is what's doing all the legwork to translate it to the screens attached to your head. The Nintendo Wii was originally sold at $250, and that had motion controls that could track 3D movement, and Nintendo was selling it at a profit. The 3DS could also track 3D movement and even do augmented reality, and that was sold at a profit. But you may be getting ready to say that the Wii's motion controls suck. Yeah, for third parties, but Nintendo games worked pretty well. Some other VR defenders may say that your smartphone costs over $600 or more at retail price, and that the amount you pay on a contract is subsidized. Well, I got another secret for you. Now, this is going to be a really good one, and you may want to sit down because you're probably going to laugh your ass off. Your smartphone, in parts and labor to manufacture, only costs about $200, and it has more parts in it than the Oculus Rift does, like cell phone radios and internal storage and other parts that make cell phones work. The phone carriers make the retail price that high so they can encourage you on those 2-year commitments. And when you think about it, from what I hear, the Samsung Gear VR, which uses a Samsung phone to power it, is pretty damn good. But again, that's what I've heard. So for that $200 to manufacture the phone, and the probably $50 to make the headset, for a total of $250 in parts and labor, Oculus sold the first dev kit for $300, and then an updated one for $350, and now the retail one is $600? But what really sent up that red flag for me was, they're giving away retail versions for free to those who bought the dev kits. To me, that says they're passing off the loss of the free headsets to those who didn't buy in early. Then Palmer Luckey said that the PlayStation 4 isn't as powerful as the Oculus Rift recommended PC specs. That's not a plus for your side, genius. That's like when Don Matrix said that those who want an offline Xbox One to just stick with a 360, and then goes on to say that the PlayStation VR isn't as high-end as theirs. Yeah, the Oculus Rift screens are a slightly higher resolution, but the PlayStation VR has a higher refresh rate. If you want to talk about new technology, look at the Avegant Glyph, a headset that uses projectors in an array of very small mirrors to project an image directly in your eye rather than looking at a screen. With the PC that's needed to run the Rift, it's only going to appeal to those that have the money to spend on the computer to run it and the money for the headset itself. That's not going to be a lot of people. Some people have made videos defending the price, and what I really don't like was how they said that it's not a problem for them because they spend $700 on a high-end monitor, and they like to bring up and how the original iPhone and PlayStation 3 were $600 when they came out, but they came out 9 years ago. Jim Sterling even called out those people on that nonsense. Just because you can drop $600 on a whim on something that might not even work as advertised, that doesn't mean other people will be able to do so. And if you're going to say that $600 is a fair price because you can afford it, you might as well be telling people who can't afford that price point to buy themselves more money so they can, because you sound like an elitist prick when you say stuff like that. And as I just offhandedly mentioned, what if this thing doesn't work as advertised? Microsoft made the Kinect look and sound really good. I'll admit that I didn't have any issues with it, but I heard a lot of people complaining about games not working. They said the same for the Kinect 2.0, and that didn't really work either from what I heard. The Wii's controllers didn't really work that well for third-party games, resulting in Nintendo making the Motion Plus so that could track movements better. What if this new virtual reality device just doesn't work? What if the resolution isn't high enough and you can see those red, blue, and green dots that you see when you're too close to a screen? What if it doesn't track your head movement correctly? What if capturing videos for it looks weird? Remember how third parties sucked at making their games work on the Wii's motion controls or the Kinect's tracking? Do I need to remind you of Sonic Free Riders or all the bad Wii games that couldn't make the motion controls function? But let's say it does work. What's to say that it'll be an ideal experience? Playing first-person games may seem cool, but remember, you'll be getting return fire from all around you, so you're going to be spinning around a lot. Next thing you know, you're dizzy, you fall over, and you crack your head open on the coffee table because you can't see the room around you, and you're dead. Granted, that's the worst-case scenario. Or if you trip and end up smashing the headset on something and breaking it. Remember how quite a few people broke their TVs or other objects because the Wii controller slipped out of their hands? Just think of that happening to the Rift if you were to fall and hit something. That's $600 wasted. And if you think that won't happen to you, you do know that they're called accidents for a reason, right? But let's look at what will probably happen. Virtual reality will come out, it becomes the rage, everyone buys it, and you can't find it. Then in a few years, with a handful of games, no one is using it anymore. Developers don't care because they see it as a waste of money due to low sales of VR games. So the tech gets abandoned for a couple of years because it wasn't ready for the mass market at this point in time. And that $600 price tag plus the required hardware to be able to run it is going to shun developers from making virtual reality games, because not a lot of people will have it. But you may be saying that the Oculus sold out all of its pre-orders. Yeah, that's not new. Scarcity of the next big thing is never a new thing. The PlayStation 4 was hard to find for a short while, the Wii was hard to find for a while, the iPhone was hard to find for a while, and rumor has it that the PlayStation VR might be $1,000. The PlayStation 4 costs $350. I don't think that's going to sell. No one buys a peripheral that costs more than the system to play on it, unless they're wiping their asses with dollar bills. The way I see it, virtual reality has some serious hurdles to jump over to succeed. The first one being getting over that expense. It's going to be a very slow start for virtual reality if not a lot of people are willing to shell out the money for something that could just be a gimmick or not work as well as they say it will. It also needs to work properly, because if it's not tracking the head movement right, it's not going to replace a monitor and mouse or controller for looking around. And it needs to have games as well. Why did the Wii U have such a slow start and still has slow growth to the point where they're planning on a new console? It lacked games, and if it's too expensive that people aren't buying it, then developers aren't really going to take the risk of making games for it either. Of course, they'll make games that are virtual reality compatible, but that's probably extra time and money that they don't want to invest in. That's why I think virtual reality is going to be the next Kinect or the next motion controller. It'll be cool for a little bit, but then it'll be seen as a fad, as crap is released on it that doesn't really work or would work better with traditional controls. We really need to look at how these companies push the past devices. When Nintendo brought out the Wii, they pushed motion controls for about 2 years and dropped it. When the PlayStation Move came out, Sony pushed it for maybe a few months before dropping it. When the Kinect was coming out, Microsoft was spearheading the thing, then dropped it because it didn't work as they planned. The Wii U gamepad was touted until the system came out and it was forgotten or improperly implemented. And the second Kinect was a failure out the door because people got burned with the first and didn't want it, and lo and behold, it still didn't work as they advertised. Someone said that I shouldn't call virtual reality the next Kinect because, unlike Kinect, virtual reality works. Sure, it works. Everything else I listed off worked before it was released into the wild, but then none of it worked as it did when everything was being demoed at trade shows. If you want virtual reality, that's fine, but we've been burned each time they come out with this new future of gaming tech, so don't take a $600 gamble on something that might not work as good as they're making it sound, especially on something that's a peripheral, on something